Hi, I'm Chef Gail Sokol and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're making a braided round challah in honor of the Jewish New Year for my Jewish friends. And it's traditionally a challah can be braided. It can also be coiled for the Jewish New Year and just a coil. And that's how I traditionally do mine. But we're going to braid it this time. And we're going to braid it with a 4-braid round. And I'm going to show you how to do it. It's sort of fun to do. You may want to get the kids involved. But it signifies, the New Year's beginning. And it's a cycle. Life is a cycle. And it goes around. Next year, there'll be another year. So this is the new year. So before we get started, I want you to click that notification button because I want you to become a subscriber and I don't want you to miss any of my tips or videos. And I think you're going to love this challah, and I love having you in my kitchen. And whether you're Jewish or not, whether you celebrate or not, this is a fabulous bread in itself. It's a rich bread. It's got eggs in it, and it's got some fat in it in the form of oil. So what we're going to do, make a very simple dough. We're going to knead it, and then we're going to put it in for a bulk fermentation, as we bakers say. So a bulk fermentation is you take the whole dough, you slop it in a bowl, and you cover it and let it rise for about an hour till it doubles in size. Then the fun begins. Then the shaping begins, okay? So in my electric mixer, I have 5 cups of all-purpose flour. I have 1/3 of granulated sugar that I'm going to add. And I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. And I must go get my yeast, which is still in my refrigerator. I shall go get it. 2½ teaspoons of yeast. 2½ teaspoons of yeast. And I always keep my yeast in the fridge. So this is instant active yeast or fast rising, like the Arnold Schwarzenegger yeast. The yeast that really can create a lot more carbon dioxide per yeast cell than any other yeast. And you don't have to hydrate it first and see if it's alive, that proofing that you go through where you add a little water, add it in with the flour. And just make sure that the flour buffers the salt from the yeast. You never want to put salt and yeast together because it can actually kill the yeast. All right, so I'm just going to whisk it. I know I can use my paddle, but I always like to make sure I have a good mix. All right, and now we're going to add our wet ingredients. And here I have, let's see, 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. I'm just going to add this all in. I have 1 cup plus 1 tablespoon of about 110-degree water. And that's water that you could sort of take a bath in. You feel comfortable taking a bath in that. Put your fingers in it if you don't have a thermometer. And that's how I usually tell if it's the proper temperature. If you have a thermometer, use it. Here I have 2 large eggs, the whole eggs, and then 2 egg yolks. That's what makes this dough so enriched. It's almost equivalent to a brioche dough. All right, so I'm going to put my paddle attachment on. You can use your dough hook, but I am of the opinion that when you put your paddle on, it mixes better in the beginning, and then I can switch to my, my dough hook. But today I'm going to do it by hand. I'm going to put it right on my, it's already starting to form a dough. So I'm actually going to put it right on my work surface, and I'm going to knead it. And you don't need it to get too well blended. You can always knead by hand if your mixer's small. My mixer's a good size 6-quart mixer, but it's going a little sluggish. It's a little sluggish. So I'm going to feel it because I want to feel to see if I have enough water. And very often, if you measure with a little heavy hand and you might have a little too much flour, or you pack it by accident, I'm just going to add a splash more. So I'm just going to use my judgment. I wouldn't trust me either, but if you just use your judgment, you want the dough to feel slightly sticky but soft and elastic when we get done with it. All right, So let's take this out of here so you can see it. And I think it's good. I think it's good. So we're going to grab this dough. Woo! All of it came out at once. And I'll get that bowl off later. You see what I do is I hit it to get it off, because sometimes when you actually mixed it so firmly like that, and the dough is so dense it will stick on. But it will come off. It always does. My bowl always comes off. Always comes off. All right, so you see this? I take my bench scraper, and I'm just going to use this to sort of knead it. And I can feel the dough. A lot of my students will say to me, you know, I don't want to feel my dough. It's going to get my hands dirty. Well, it will get your hands dirty, but that's the power and also the strength of making a yeast dough, because you really want to feel the dough, or else you won't know if it has enough water or if it needs more flour. You really don't know that. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a little bit of oil from the bottom of the oil that I added, and I'm not going to use any extra flour. Don't add any extra flour if you can help it. Flour dries out the dough. And before my baking career really began, and I was really loving breads, I used to put probably too much flour in my bread. So when I make bread, I always go easy on the flour, because it will dry out your bread. So this is a very rich dough. It almost looks a little yellow because of the extra egg yolks, but they're very, 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 very similar to a brioche. And we did brioche. If you want to see brioche rolls, you can look them up on YouTube, Chef Gail Sokol, or get the recipe on my website, chefgailsokol.com. And then I'm feeling like this is coming together pretty nicely. It's slightly sticky, but I don't want to add more flour. And what I've done is, I think this is good because we need it slightly sticky and satiny. And I think I'm there. All right. So in my bowl, I have a big bowl. I've sprayed it with nonstick cooking spray. Okay. And I'm going to put my dough in. I'm going to roll it around like it's going to clean the bottom of the bowl. And then I'm going to flip it over so the grease side is up, facing up. I don't want it to dry out. And then I'm going to take a piece of plastic wrap that I have pre-cut, and I'm just going to, you can even use a kitchen towel, just push it over it and really tighten it on all sides. Put it into a warm, like an oven that's not on, or if it's really nice outside, put it on your porch, put it in a warm closet. You can even take a garbage bag and shake it open, put it over, and that will create a nice warm environment, because we really want to get this fermentation going so that the yeast actually expand and make more of themselves by the millions, and they have this beautiful risen challah dough. So I'm going to put it in a warm spot for about an hour till it's doubled in size, and I will see you back. So my beautiful challah dough has risen, it doubled in size, and what I did was I poured it out onto a work surface, and I divided it with my dough cutter or a sharp knife into 4 equal pieces. Then I rolled out each piece into approximately 18-inch long rope, okay? And I'm going to place these ropes, so we're going to put 2 parallel to each other. I'm going to move this one out of the way. 2 parallel to each other. And then we're going to start almost what's going to look like a basket weave in the center. So we're going to put 1 over and 1 under. Very loose. We're all loosey-goosey here. All right, and then we're going to put another 1 over. But this time we want, so this is over and this is over, so we can't have that. So we have to put that one, we have to put this one. If this one's over, this one's going under. If this one's over, this has got to go under. All right? So you see what we're doing? You have to actually look at it. It can be very, very confusing. So you focus on what you're doing. So you want to have 1 going under the bridge, 1 going over the bridge, 1 going under the bridge, 1 going, so they're the opposite, okay? So now you have like a crisscross, okay? Now we're going to play a little game of right over left. So as you look down on your 4 pieces of your ropes, your 4 ropes, you're going to take the right one and you're going to put it over the left very loosely, like this. Okay? Then you're going to do the same thing for this grouping, right over left. Think of each one as a couple in a way. Right over left. It's like a big square dance. Okay, that's how I look at it. Right over left. All right, you can almost see the braid forming. Okay. Now the partners are going to switch. Do, si, do. And you're going to do left over right. So this partner is going to go left over right. Again, loose. Loose as a goose. Okay, left. Left over right. All right, loose, nice and loose. Left over left. That's right. This is left over right because I got to be upside down and think of it upside down, and then left over right. Okay, you see that? Now you got a lot of extra edges. We're going to tuck. We have to tuck. So we're going to lift up. And we're going to tuck everybody under, all right? It can be a little confusing, so you may want to practice this a little bit. I'm going to put that under there. And all the little spaces that you might see will actually get evened out. So there's like loops on the outside, and you will see them. Okay, you see that? Look how pretty! Sort of. Arrange, arrange, arrange. I'm going to take my, I call this a Kuchenlooser because that's the brand, and I'm going to take my nice pan, pizza pan, and I've actually dusted it. I love a little cornmeal underneath my challah. So I'm going to transfer this with a quick shush and put it right under there. Okay. And now I'm going to let this rise again. All right, for 30 minutes to an hour. Remember, this is a very rich yeast dough. So I have sprayed my nonstick cooking spray over some plastic wrap. This was the same plastic wrap I had over my original dough. We are going to egg wash this, but not until right before it goes into the oven. So I'm just going to loosely cover this because we still want this to rise again. This is known as the proofing stage because you're proofing it in the shape that it's going to go into the oven. Now at this point, preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Preheat it because it will take probably 15 to 20 minutes, and it's going to take you time to bring this beauty out of its warm spot and egg wash it with a pastry brush, all right? So I'm going to my warm spot. I'll see you back when we're ready to egg wash. My gorgeous braided round challah has been proofing in a nice warm spot, and it did double, and it's gorgeous. I have a preheated oven ready to go, 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And I've taken 1 whole large egg with a teaspoon of water, and I just sort of whisked it up. I'm going to put that in the sink. And now with a pastry brush, don't overload it with egg, but I'm going to egg wash it lightly. And remember, it's full of air, full of carbon dioxide gas, I should say. There may be a little air in there too, so you don't really want to overdo it. The reason why we egg wash it, because we want a gorgeous, typical challah color, which is a nice burnished brown. And you're going to bake it until it is golden brown. So it's not going to take that long, 25 to 30 minutes. And you're going to go by color, but make sure you don't overbake it. And you're just going to go around. Make sure you get in the little, seeing the little crevices in between each braid, little folded area. It looks like a bunch of snakes all entwined in each other, but let's not talk about that. That's not appetizing. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous challah. Very, very different, but very appropriate for the Jewish New Year. Again, renewing a new year coming. All right, and we are going to Do basically every inch of it, but you don't want any egg pooling. So make sure you take your time going around. And there are times when I look at it after about 10 minutes and I see that there may be some spots that need a little more egg wash. I will take it out and re-egg wash as well. You don't have to do that, but if you wish, you can. It's very, very optional. All right, we are ready to go in our oven for 375 degrees Fahrenheit oven for about 25 to 30 minutes, and you're going to look for a gorgeous golden burnished braided challah. I'll see you back. Beautiful braided round challah just came out of the oven. Look how gorgeous it is. It's nice and burnished brown with the egg wash. It's gorgeous because egg yolks help challahs and breads brown. And this is a beautiful, gorgeous challah for my Jewish friends for the new year. So I hope you guys become subscribers, and I hope you make this, and I wish you guys a happy and healthy new year. Till next.